Welcome back to Kuma English Listening Hub. In today's episode, we're going to explore a modern food trend that is changing how many people enjoy eating out pop-up restaurants. You might have seen them on social media, or maybe one appeared in your neighborhood for just a few days and then disappeared. Pop-up restaurants are temporary restaurants that open for a short time, often in unusual places. They might open in a parking lot, on a rooftop, inside another restaurant, or even in a clothing shop after it closes. In this episode, we will talk about what pop-up restaurants are, why they are becoming so popular, who starts them, how they work, and how they are changing the way we think about restaurants and food. So, find a comfortable place to sit, relax, and let's begin. What is a pop-up restaurant? A pop-up restaurant is a restaurant that opens for a limited time and then closes. It might be open for only one evening, one weekend, a month, or a season. Pop-ups are usually small, and they often have a very focused idea or theme. For example, there might be a pop-up that serves only one type of dish, such as handmade ramen, special grilled cheese sandwiches, or desserts made with tropical fruit. Some pop-ups are created for a special event, such as a food festival or a holiday market. Others appear regularly, like once a month, in the same place. Unlike traditional restaurants, pop-ups do not usually have a permanent building, long-term staff, or a long menu. They often borrow space from other businesses. During the day, a place might be a coffee shop, and at night, it becomes a pop-up dinner restaurant with candles, music, and a completely different menu. Why are pop-up restaurants becoming popular? There are several reasons why pop-up restaurants are becoming more popular in cities around the world. First, they are exciting and new. People like to discover something that feels special and temporary. When you know a restaurant will only exist for 2 weekends, you feel like you should go before it disappears. This feeling of urgency makes people curious and interested. Second, social media plays a big role. Many pop-up restaurants advertise on Instagram, TikTok, or local food blogs. They post photos of beautifully prepared dishes, stylish decorations, and happy customers. People share these photos and tell their friends. As a result, the pop-up becomes popular quickly, even if it is small. Third, pop-up restaurants are often more flexible than traditional restaurants. It is usually cheaper and less risky to start a pop-up than to open a full restaurant. You do not need to sign a long contract for a building, buy expensive furniture, or hire a large team. Because of this, more creative cooks, young chefs, and small food businesses are able to try their ideas. Who starts pop-up restaurants? Many different kinds of people start pop-up restaurants. Some are professional chefs who already work in well-known restaurants. They might want to test a new idea that is different from their normal job. For example, a chef who usually cooks fine French food might start a pop-up that serves casual street-style tacos. Some are home cooks who have never had their own restaurant before. They may have learned traditional recipes from their families, such as homemade dumplings, spicy stews, or special cakes. They use a pop-up to share their culture and food with a wider audience. Others are small food brands that want to connect with customers in a more personal way. For instance, a company that sells hot sauce might create a weekend pop-up where every dish uses their sauces in a different way. Pop-ups can also be started by groups of friends or local communities. They might organize a series of dinners to raise money for a cause, to support a charity, or to celebrate food from a specific country or region. Where do pop-up restaurants happen? One of the most interesting things about pop-up restaurants is where they appear. Pop-ups can happen in many different locations. Inside another restaurant during its quiet hours, on a rooftop with a nice view of the city, in a food truck parked near a busy street, in a garden or backyard during the summer, in an art gallery surrounded by paintings, at a city bings of Garden 70, community center, or local hall. Because pop-ups are temporary, they can use spaces that are not usually restaurants. For example, a clothing store might host a dinner event after it closes to customers. The tables might be placed between the clothes racks, and the walls become part of the decoration. This flexibility makes each pop-up feel unique. Eating in an unexpected place can turn a normal meal into a memorable experience. How do pop-up restaurants work in practice? Let's imagine how a typical pop-up night might look. A chef decides to host a pop up dinner on a Saturday evening in a local cafe that normally closes at 5 p.m. They agree that the chef can use the cafe's kitchen and tables from 7 to 10 p.m. The chef creates a short menu with 3 main dishes and 2 desserts. Because the pop up is small, they need to plan very carefully. They have to estimate how many guests will come, how much food to buy, and how long it will take to cook each dish. To attract customers, the chef posts the details on social media 2 weeks before the event. They include the date, time, location, and photos of the dishes. People must reserve a seat by sending a message or buying a ticket online. On the day of the pop-up, the cafe closes at 5 p.m. The chef and a small team arrive. They move the furniture, set the tables, decorate the room, and start preparing the food. At 7 p.m., the first guests arrive. There is music playing, and the atmosphere feels more like a private party than a regular restaurant. During the evening, the chef might come out of the kitchen to explain the dishes, tell the story behind a recipe, or ask guests for feedback. At the end of the night, the team cleans everything, moves the furniture back, and leaves. The next morning, the cafe opens as usual, and there is no sign that a restaurant was there just a few hours before. What makes pop-up restaurants different for customers? From a customer's point of view, pop-up restaurants offer several special things. First, they feel more personal. In many pop-ups, the chef is very visible. You might see them cooking in an open kitchen or hear them talk about the ingredients. This can make you feel more connected to the food you are eating. Second, pop-ups often experiment with new ideas. You might taste unusual flavor combinations, creative desserts, or dishes from a country you do not know much about. Sometimes, you can try a test menu that may later become part of a regular restaurant's menu. Third, attending a pop-up can feel like being part of a small, secret event. Because the space is usually limited, only a certain number of people can join. This makes the experience feel exclusive, even if the price is normal. Pop-up restaurants can also be more affordable than high-end restaurants. Some offer simple, delicious food at reasonable prices, especially when they are run by new chefs who want to attract many customers. How do pop-up restaurants help chefs and small businesses? For chefs and small food businesses, pop-ups offer many advantages. They can test new recipes and menus without a huge investment. If customers love a dish, the chef might decide to include it in a future restaurant. If something does not work well, they can change it for the next event. Pop-ups also allow chefs to build a community of fans. Each event is a chance to meet new customers, collect contact information, and create a mailing list or social media following. Later, if the chef opens a permanent restaurant, these people may become their first regular customers. Additionally, pop-ups can be a way to collaborate. 2 or 3 chefs might work together on a special menu. For example, a baker could work with an ice cream maker to create a dessert night with warm cookies and homemade ice cream. For small businesses, such as local farms or specialty food producers, pop-ups can be a place to show their products. A pop-up menu might highlight vegetables from a nearby farm, local cheeses, or regional sauces and spices. This creates a connection between the people who grow or make the food and the people who eat it. Cultural stories through pop-up restaurants. Pop-up restaurants are not only about trying new flavors, they also tell stories, especially cultural stories. Many pop-up chefs use food to share their background, their memories, or their family traditions. A chef whose grandparents moved from one country to another might create a menu that mixes both cultures. For example, a pop-up might offer traditional dishes from one country but with a modern twist from another. Some pop-ups focus on food from places that are not very well known in the city where they appear. For instance, in a European city, a pop-up might celebrate home-style cooking from a small region in Asia, Africa, or South America. The chef can explain where the recipes come from and what they mean for people in that culture. This exchange can help guests learn about other ways of life and build respect and curiosity for different traditions. In this way, pop-up restaurants become small cultural bridges between people. Challenges of running a pop up restaurant. Of course, pop up restaurants are not always easy to run. Because they are temporary, there is always a risk that not enough people will come. If the chef prepares food for 60 guests but only 20 arrive, that means lost money and wasted ingredients. Planning and organization are very important. Pop ups must deal with health and safety rules, permission from local authorities, and agreements with the owners of the space they use. They also have to manage time carefully because they may only have a few hours in a borrowed kitchen. Another challenge is building trust. When a restaurant appears suddenly and then disappears, some people may wonder if it is safe or professional. Pop up chefs often work hard to show their experience, cleanliness, and quality. For example, by sharing photos of their kitchen, talking about where they buy ingredients, all showing good reviews from previous events. How are pop up restaurants changing the future of eating out? Pop up restaurants are influencing the wider food world in several ways. Traditional restaurants are starting to borrow some ideas from pop ups. For example, some normal restaurants invite guest chefs to take over the kitchen for one night. Others create special pop up weeks with limited menus, unique decorations, or themed events. Shopping centers, hotels, and office buildings are also using pop ups to bring energy to their spaces. A quiet corner might become popular if a rotating pop up coffee stand or lunch counter appears every month with a different style of food. Pop ups can also help revive areas of a city that do not have many restaurants. A series of temporary food events can attract visitors, and over time, more permanent cafes and shops may open there. In addition, pop ups support innovation. When chefs and food entrepreneurs know they have a low cost way to test new ideas, they are more willing to take risks. This can lead to surprising dishes, creative fusion cuisines, or new ways of serving customers. Tips for enjoying a pop up restaurant as a guest. If you would like to visit a pop up restaurant, here are some simple tips. Follow local food accounts on social media in your city. Reserve early because spaces are often limited. Read the menu in advance so you know what to expect. Arrive on time, as many pop ups work with fixed seating times. Be open minded. Remember that the chef is experimenting, so some dishes might be different from what you usually order. Give feedback if the chef asks. Your opinion can help them improve in the future. Most importantly, try to enjoy the experience as a whole, not just the food. Notice the setting, the music, the people around you, and the story behind the dishes. Using this episode to improve your English now, let's briefly think about how you can use this listening episode to improve your English. First, listen to the episode once without stopping. Try to understand the main ideas: what pop up restaurants are, why they are popular, and how they work. Second, listen a second time and focus on vocabulary. You can write down words like temporary, flexible, atmosphere, experiment, or collaboration. Check their meanings and try to create your own example sentences. Third, you can pause the audio after a section and summarize it in your own words. For example, after the part about who starts pop up restaurants, stop and explain that part as if you were telling a friend. Finally, think about your own experience. Have you ever visited a place that was only open for a short time, such as a seasonal cafe or a weekend market? What did you like about it? You could record yourself speaking about it in English or write a short paragraph. Closing pop up restaurants are more than just a trend. They are a creative way for chefs and food lovers to share ideas, cultures, and stories. They show how flexible and dynamic the world of food has become. The next time you see a temporary food event in your city, you might see it differently. You will know that behind the colorful photos and the limited time menu, there is probably a story of risk, creativity, and passion for food. Thank you for listening to Kuma English Listening Hub. Keep exploring new topics, keep training your ears, and see you in the next episode.